What is up, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time. It is sponsored by Fanduel, and I am joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz on a little guy. This is a little guy slate, right? We got 3 games. Mavs are on, so I get to watch them, so I'm excited about it. But we're joined by we got Tim, aka Tasteful Tides. What's happening, Tim?
How's it going? This is we just had some news drop actually that we should talk about. Jaden Ivey's ruled out. So that was one of the 2 pieces of injury news that we were waiting for. So that's actually pretty important. It's the first game too. So we can break that down here in a second. But I'm doing good, Kevin. It's good to do a show with you.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Also joined for his GPP hot takes, we got Dre in the house. Dre, how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm confident in the slate. That actually news is very important because I just took a player of my life that I'm going to put back in now. One playable that I'm going to put back in now. So let's try to hopefully get people some plays to get different and come in first place.
Okay, I like that's what you do. You always cheer. You always hope that everyone watching comes in second place, which is very kind of you.
Yes.
Okay, let's kind of break down the slate. Let's talk about it a little bit. Tim, you mind kind of giving us a zoom out look here before you dive into some FanDuel cash plays for us?
Zoom out's pretty easy. You're going to be starting your lineups with Luka tonight, at least in cash games, single entry, smaller field stuff. That's pretty easy. This Ivy news is going to bring a little bit of value, maybe with like Sadiq Bey perhaps, but it's just you're going to start your lineups with Luka, and then it's you got all this kind of cheap stuff at the last game of the night because you got Kawhi out, you got Paul George out, so the Clippers are kind of like the cheapish kind of pieces. They're not super cheap, but they do offer some value.
Sure. I mean, there's 2 stars out, so
2 stars out, and also John Wall is out. So it's kind of like you got these kind of mid range to cheaper end type plays on the Clippers they're going to be important, and there's a lot of them, and we're going to have to try to parse that out for you guys that are listening, because that they're going to be your primary pieces of value tonight.
Yeah, already getting questions in on the YouTube chat. Appreciate everybody watching on YouTube. Hit us with that thumbs up. Talking about basically how many Clippers is too many Clippers. But let's walk through the build first, and then we can kind of look at it overall and talk about how many is too many for both cash and GPP. But Tim, if you don't mind starting us out with a little FanDuel cash build, that would be fantastic.
All right, well, let's start off with Luka. That's easy, right? I mean, so I think we can all agree that that's your guy. That you're
is Christian Wood still riding pine in Dallas, or is he finally supposed to start?
He's not starting. That doesn't necessarily mean you can't play him for tournaments, but he's not starting, and I think he's not. He would not be a guy playing cash.
Yeah,
but he's fine for tournaments.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack you.
That's all right. So let's start with Luka. FanDuel, so we're gonna do Luka, and then I think you're gonna go. I like Nurkic for Portland at center for 6,800. And then what does that give us per player, Kevin? Does it say?
I'm looking at it, 5-8 something.
Okay, so then I would go to Justice Winslow. He's another Portland player. And then probably Reggie Jackson. So those are, and that's a nice little run back for those Portland guys. Mm-hmm. That gives you plenty of room to get some other mid-range guys in your lineup. I don't think you should really go double stud. Like, I don't think you should go Doncic and Curry in cash games. I think you're giving up too much. I'm not crazy about the super cheap pieces that are available tonight. Maybe Dre can touch on that for tournaments. Like, I don't know if I want to play, like, maybe I guess you could play Amir Coffee but
like not even on the Clippers. There's not anything crazy cheap with that value opened up, or it's all mid range there.
Well, they've already been priced up to reflect those guys being out. That doesn't mean that they're bad plays. It just means they're just not super cheap anymore. So you kind of have to live in that mid range. Like there's no super cheapy play on FanDuel other than perhaps Amir Coffee.
And what about Zubac? Was it just like a fluke that he went straight Wilt Chamberlain the other night and went like basically a 30-30 game, or is that still possible?
That's the type of player I think he is. He's the type of player that has such a wide range of outcomes, and it's not necessarily somebody that I trust for cash. Now, having said that, I'm trusting Nurkic for cash tonight, which can also that could be a little bit of a hairy proposition. That's not necessarily like a lock. Some people, especially on DK, but I think some people even on FanDuel might go to like Mitchell Robinson at center. But that's not necessarily a lock either.
Okay. Do you want to walk us through some of those other positions where you don't have a clear-cut guy, but just give us some options?
Yeah, well, center is one of them. I mean, you've got Nurkic, you've got Robinson, you've got Zubac. My favorite for cash games is Nurkic. That isn't necessarily a guarantee, though. That's not necessarily safe. But really, it's those three guys, and then of course you could play Julius Randle at center, but I would prefer playing him at power forward. So it's kind of interesting, and then we should touch on Norman Powell. He is not projected to start. He's got a better price on DraftKings. He's 4,800 on DraftKings. He's 6,000 on FanDuel, but still. He's going to get a plenty of run on the second unit, and I think that maybe he might be a little too thin for cash, but he could be viable.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Anything that you want to add here, FanDuel cash, before we kick it over to Dre?
Bogdanovich for the Pistons is playing. He was a game time decision, just like Jaden Ivey. Bogdanovich is in. He is definitely in the conversation for cash games on FanDuel.
Okay. All right. That's fair. And when we get to DK, we're going to run through position by position because I'm going to need you to tell me every play that I need to plug in. But we'll get to that in a bit. In the meantime, Dre, let's talk FanDuel tournaments here. You heard from Tim saying there are a couple guys that are good plays maybe for a GPP, but not for cash. What is your game plan?
My game plan is to let's get overweight on some of these guys that are going under owned and overlooked, especially like that are more so overpriced, as to say. Like for instance, we have Andrew Wiggins at 8. I'm just gonna be all over the place a little bit. Sorry guys, but
that's okay.
Andrew Wiggins at 8K. I love him today. He does well. He's done well in the spot against Dallas all last year. And I expect the same thing to continue this year. So I'll be like, while he's coming in at 6-7%, I'm going to be like triple the field on him. That's someone I'm going to use to get different in my lineups a lot. I'm also going to be underweight on a lot of these Clippers guys that we have here. That's going to be that people use it for value. Like we have a guy like Terrence Mann coming in at 33%, who has historically has never had a great game against Portland, and that was even without Kawhi and Paul George being there. So I would be significantly underweight on those guys and get like 15% maybe of them. Norman Powell either. He has not really had much success, so I would be a little bit underweight on him as well. And then use guys like Robert Covington for steals and blocks. That has, I think, a lot of upside on this slate today. I think that he's someone that we definitely have to pay attention to and try to use a lot of. I also do like Jordan Poole today. I think he also is another player you can use from the Warriors to get different. I'm really high on that game, honestly. I'm just going to try to do like a lot of game stacks. I'm running about like 75 lineups on FanDuel today, so game stacking is going to be the way I'm going to approach this slate with like a 3-2 or 2-1 the 2-2, different combinations of that. I just want to be running all day. I think that's the best way to attack this slate, honestly. And also with that news, the Detroit news being Jada Ivey being ruled out, makes me like I'm not a big fan of Killing Hayes in general, but and his price is really really high today. But and he's going to see 32 minutes. He's played or as many minutes as he can handle. He played well the last 2 games. He's gotten those minutes against Cleveland and Phoenix, and those are tougher matchups than playing against a team like New York. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Killian Hayes today, just from the Jada Ivey news being today. I also don't mind taking some shots at like guys like Isaiah Hartenstein in tournaments, who in 20 even at 5K in 20 minutes, he can give you 25, 30 fantasy points in this matchup against Detroit. So he's someone I definitely don't mind getting some exposure to today. And that I was hoping that Tim Hardaway was going to be a little bit sneaky, but I guess now that he's starting, I expect him to be a little bit owned. I like Tim Hardaway today. I think he is. I think he's just a great play. So I would play him a lot. I probably would be double the field on him. We got him coming in at 13%, but I don't know if the ownership is going to update now with the news that of Ivy being out, because I know Ivy was popular today as well.
I don't think he's going to be that popular, Dre, for what it's worth. I really don't. I mean, he's going to come carry some ownership, but I don't think it's going to get too out of hand.
Yeah, I hope not. I do like Tim Hardaway a lot though, so I think he's a fantastic play. Alec Burks also is another one that might get a little bit of steam too, because he's cheap, 5'8". People might swerve to him instead of Hayes. A revenge narrative, you could say, because against the Knicks, he could, and he's really a true definition of a GPP player, because he has these moments where he has great games and he has moments where he has bad games. So he's someone I think you can use today a lot of. And I'm kind of, I might regret it, but I am really kind of like underweight on Julius Randle today. Just because 7'8", I understand that he can give you an upside for a 50-point, but he hasn't shown it, especially with Robinson in there against him. So, and back in the lineup playing side by side. So I would play either one of those together, never done together. I honestly like Mitch Robinson's spot more so for the stocks, especially on a site like Fanduel.
Okay, very good. Real quick, Dre, who's the best player on the Knicks?
Like who's like just in general, or
just the best? No, not DFS. Just who's the best player on the Knicks?
Oh, goodness gracious, I don't know. I'm gonna say probably. I don't watch the Knicks, man.
The answer I was searching for was Jalen Brunson.
I was going to say probably Brunson. It's either Brunson or RJ Barrett, in my opinion.
It's Brunson. It's the Brunson burner. Okay. Hey, let's switch it over to a little DK talk here, Tim. If you could walk me through each position.
Yeah, so it's still Luka's priority. Like, he doesn't have to like get there, per se, in terms of points per dollar, just because the slate's so short. We just need his raw points. So even if he doesn't get like 63 or 64, if he gets 55, 56, that still might be good. Steph Curry is going to go way lower owned than he should, just because we all want to get to Luka, and it's hard to play both. So it's just the Mavericks play at the slowest pace in the NBA, so it's a really, really bad spot for him. But Steph could beat anybody. So it's just, I think he's fine. He's a really good tournament play. But Luka should be the priority. Then Reggie Jackson for cash games also. I think he's like your cheapish kind of mid-range option. And then I think Jalen Brunson is a really good tournament play. I think you could maybe make a team to play all three, like Reggie, Brunson, and Luka, but that might be hard to do. And then Anthony Simons is in a really, really strange price point, and I think he's going to go extremely lower owned. So he's going to go really low owned, and I think he makes for a really good game stat to go with those chalky Clippers.
Okay, I'm getting a little feedback from somebody here. I don't know if that's me or from one of y'all who maybe doesn't have
I
their.
think that might be Andre.
I have nothing going on.
Do you have any headphones maybe you could pull out?
Yeah, I can put my headphones in.
Yeah, throw on some headphones here. In the meantime, Tim, do me a favor, keep rolling through here and let me know what you're thinking about. Are we at shooting guard or down to forward?
Yeah, I'll move to shooting guard to see if there's any kind of drastic difference. I mean, Amir Coffey's 3,600 on DK. We have him projected for 30 minutes. I've built teams where I don't really feel like I need him. If that's not something that you guys feel comfortable with, then I think that he would be your guy for a salary saving option. 30 minutes at that price on this slate, sure, go for it. The problem is we have him projected for 21 points. He's not gonna have like some kind of huge ceiling. So it's kind of up to you, kind of how you guys want to do your own lineup construction. I prefer to get to Terrence Mann or Norman Powell. And then I think Spencer Dinwiddie and again Anthony Simons. Dinwiddie's another point guard also. He's point guard, shooting guard. He's really good for tournaments too. I like Dre's call on Tim Hardaway. He's super cheap, and he could definitely well exceed that price tag.
Okay, let's talk some forwards.
Sure. Justice Winslow is my favorite small forward. I think that I prefer playing him in the small forward position, not power forward, but he does have that multiple positional eligibility, so that you can do with that what you will. Norman Powell is the same way. RJ Barrett, I think, is going to go. Nobody's going to be super low on this slate, but I think he's worth taking some shots on in tournaments. I'm not going to do that in cash games. Same thing with Josh Hart. Same thing with Sadiq Bey. There are these guys kind of right in that same kind of price range that I don't think are going to get too overblown in terms of ownership, and they could certainly end up being in the optimal lineups. What's really tough today is that you want to get to some Warriors, but it's just such a bad spot. It's like I said, the Mavericks play at the slowest pace in the whole league. They're fully healthy, so but it's just they're so good, right? That starting five is really good. Like they all have ceilings, they can all get there in tournaments. So I'd be fine if you wanted to sprinkle in some Andrew Wiggins or Klay Thompson at shooting guard, but you just have to know that it's just really not a good spot for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Power forward. It's Justice Winslow for me. He would be my favorite. He's my favorite for cash games. He's definitely gonna be in my single entry lineup that I'm gonna build real quick. He's definitely gonna be in it. So Nicholas Batum is kind of like Amir Coffey for me. I don't think I need to go that low, but you certainly could. And unlike Amir Coffey, Batum doesn't quite play the minutes that Coffey does. We have him projected for 23 minutes and 17 fantasy points. He's there if you need him, but I prefer not going so far low today. I don't think you have to do that. And then Bojan Bogdanovic, I think, is good. I currently have him on both FanDuel and DK. And then Jeremy Grant for tournaments, I think, is a really, really good play. He's kind of like a Anthony Simons. He makes for a really, really good run back with all those chalky Clippers.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. Let's go to center, I suppose.
Yeah, center's a little bit tricky. I'm playing Mitchell Robinson on DK just because of that price. He's no guarantee though. Like we're projecting him for 24 fantasy points and 25 minutes, but that's not. He could play a little bit more, or he could play a lot less. So it's not a guarantee. I prefer to get my exposure to Nurkic on FanDuel, where he's a little bit cheaper, but you certainly could play him on DK if you wanted to. We've already talked about Christian Wood. He's projected for 26 minutes. Can he exceed value at that time? Absolutely, but I don't think he's a safe cash game play at all. we should talk about Isaiah Stewart real quick. And I'm sorry I didn't at power forward. He's power forward center eligible. He's 5,500. He was not. He was on the injury report earlier today. That might scare some people off of him. He's definitely a type of guy that I would want to get exposure to in tournaments.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Anything else you want to
add? Dre kind of touched on this real quick. I think he was referring to Fanduel though with Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein's only 3,900 on DK, so he's the backup for Mitch Rob, and Mitch Rob definitely likes to foul. So I think that I really like that Hartenstein call for tournaments.
Okay, very good. Dre, let's talk some tournaments here for DK. What are you doing? What are you doing different? And could you walk me through a build? We've got about 8-9 minutes, but we want to get some questions in too.
Okay, yeah. So on DK, what I would do differently over here, I mean, you don't have Luka is obviously the priority, but I would probably not play Luka. I would probably try to go a little bit more balanced approach here because just a 12-6 is a very, very steep price to pay.
Yeah,
12 in general is very steep, but I understand points. I understand raw scoring matters, but there comes to a certain point where you have to draw the line. Wiggins, like I said, would be a high priority. That's why I probably would start. That 6-8 price is even better than it is on FanDuel, so I like him a lot over here. And then I want to try to get in some other guys here that aren't going to be that high on. I mean that can you use as leverage a little bit. So with the Knicks game, for instance, I would start with we have a guy like Jalen Brunson you mentioned before. He's a better play over here, 32. He's going to see a lot of ownership. So I would try to roster him. But what I would do to get different is running back with some other guys, like Isaiah Stewart, as we mentioned before, who I think is not going to be that owned over here, coming at 13%. So he's someone I would probably be one of the first people to get in my lineups, as well as Bojan. I like Bojan a lot here as well in this spot too. So both those guys I'd be looking at running like a little bit of a mini game stack, and that kind of gives you like 5-7 left over to spend a little bit. And from there, can't give it all away as far as like position by position. I know,
sure.
But I do love Christian Wood in this spot, so I would probably try to use that as a run back. Against Golden State here. So only thing that really does concern me is the minutes. So, but I would definitely try to leverage that if I possibly can. And if I really want to, it depends on how it depends on how I want to go from here. Like you have 3 spots to play with. If you really want to take some chances, like Tim brought up before, using Isaiah Hartenstein is another option you can go with too. Is Christian Wood's only center, right? Oh, he's only center eligible. See, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't like when it comes to the building like this. It's kind of hard because you have to think about the positions like that. But I would probably still try to find a way to use Isaiah Hartenstein in my utility. I know you're supposed to ideally put the most expensive player there, but then that gives you more leverage to play with as far as salary wise. And one person I probably want to emphasize in getting into my lineup here a lot more is Klay Thompson. He has just been on fire the past 5 games. So I would use him and then go from there and build pretty much use your imagination with the last 2 pieces and do that. But I like that little bit. You see, you got a mini game stack with the Brunson run back with Stewart and Bogdanovich. Then you got Klay and Wiggins run back with Christian Wood. And you can still fit your Clipper, like 2 guys off here from the Clippers and Portland if you want to, and have like a little bit of a mini game stack there. Or you can just add to one of these game stacks if you want to as well. So you got like you got 2 2-1s here. And I think that works out perfectly fine in tournaments.
Okay, very good. Guys, we've got about 5 minutes here left until lock. Tim, is there anything you want to add before I start diving into the QQs?
No, I think we should do QQs.
Okay, let's do it. Of course, I'm going to be jumping in and out of both the RG Discord and the YouTube, so as best I can. Carolina guy says, "Sup, fellas? Can you play Steph and Luka FanDuel GPP? It seems hard. Like the value sucks, but can you do that to be real different, Dre?"
You can. I personally, I I mean, it's going to be different. I don't like the value. I like unless you love the Clippers guys today, you could probably fit that in. But I don't like them a lot, so I'm not going that route.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Would you play Mitch Rob and Randall together, even on a 3-gamer, or is it too negatively correlated in your opinion? This is from a side, and I assume this is GPP.
I say too negatively correlated.
Okay, fair enough. FanDuel single entry, Randall or Wiggy. I feel like Wiggy's your boy here tonight, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yes, he is. I love Wiggins a lot today.
Very good. All right, jumping over to the YouTube chat here. We got ME who says, FanDuel single entry GPP. Tim, I'm coming to you for this. Steph and Bojan or Luka and Marcus Morris?
Luka and Marcus Morris.
Yeah, very good. All right. Keelan Brown says, Kevin Roth, who would you choose between Coffee, Terrence Mann, Finney Smith? Is this just, I get to pick one of them? Coffee, Mann, Finney Smith, and Morris in a FanDuel GPP. I assume it's pick one. I'm going with DFS, but I think the right answer is supposed to be Coffee, right?
I think the right answer is Terrence Mann.
You think the right answer is Mann? Dre, you got to pick there between Mann, Finney Smith, Morris. There's no punctuation. It's hard to read that.
Morris is my guy tonight.
Okay, very good. All right. Yeah. Derek pointing out that Mann does project best there. DK Cash, Bojan and Wood or Barrett and Nurk?
Is that for cash?
This is a cash. So, Tim, this is DK Cash, Bojan and Wood.
Can you say it again, Kevin?
Yeah. It's Bogdanovich and Wood or Barrett and Nurk?
Barrett and Nurk.
Very good. DK Cash, 3v3. It's similar, I think. Let's see. Nurk, Batum, Barrett, or Burks, Robinson, Grant?
Second one.
DK GPP. Dre, this is for you. Brunson versus Simons. Salary, not an issue. Got all the money in the world.
I like Brunson today. Even though Simons has improved a lot as a player, I still like Brunson. I think Brunson's a lot.
Okay. DK GPP. This is 3v3. I've got Wiggins for Golden State stack, FYI. The question is, Dre, Covington, Steph, Mann, or Stewart, Clay, Wood?
The second one, Stewart, Clay, Wood.
Very good. We've got about a minute left here. Frey, it's DK Cash question for you, Tim. 3v3. Nurk, Coffee, RJ, or Grant, Reggie Jackson, and Mitch Rob?
Second one. But it's close. It's close.
Yeah. God, my DK, it's just terrible out there. It's terrible in these DK streets. Like the salaries, I'm playing guys and I look at their box scores and they're like 18 minutes, 14 points. Like I want to play these freaking guys. There's terrible plays out there, Tim.
It's very thin tonight. It's thin tonight. Short slate, not a lot of solid, not a lot of like news, so it's tough.
Also, real quick, I'm sorry. I am really high on Josh Hart today, especially on a site like DK. His rebounding upside is crazy.
Okay, very good. Cloud says, my question gets no love today, Ralph. I didn't see your question, man. Scroll up. Oh, I saw that question. Yeah, that question gets no love. Hey, Hoosier says, do we get any good deals for Black Friday or Cyber Monday? I think, Devin, we had some sort of like Cyber Monday deal. Did we not, Devin?
We did. We had, I believe that was a Cyber Monday deal. We say on Tuesday. So
can we like extend for? I don't know.
He might have to hit up support on that one. That might be above my pay grade here.
Yeah, that's above everyone here's pay grade. But email support and see if you can. We'll fingers crossed for you. I don't know, but yeah, we'll
see if we can do something. Yeah, maybe we give you a no promises. I'm not making any guarantees here.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right.
This is live.
Yeah. Hey, we hit the lock, but I like this question here. This is FanDuel GPP. Which of the three centers would be best tonight for the after hours? Choose one between Nurk, Wood, and Zubac. And real quick, Dre, you were like, I asked about what Zubac did when he damn near dropped the 30-30. And you're like, yeah, he's just that kind of guy. And his game log, so I had to look, his game log is hilarious. Like the game before it, he played damn near 30 minutes and scored like 15 fantasy points. The next game, he played a few more minutes and scored 70. Like, how is that? How is your range from 70 to 15? And like, that just blew my mind.
That is like the ideal, perfect, like definition of a GPP player. And
yeah,
Zubac is one of those guys. The Lakers should have kept him, but that's on them. They're stupid for that one.
Yeah, I've always been a fan for what it's worth. Like I've watched his game, and I think he's got good hands. I think he plays really nice. But anyways, the question was Nurk, Wood, or Zubac. Fanduel GPP. Dre, you go first.
See, because I'm high on Wood today, but I love Nurk. Like, to me, it's between Wood and Nurkic. I love Nurkic today a lot, but it's going to be Christian Wood for me. It's going to be lower owned.
Yeah.
Nurkic will be the most popular of those three by far. I say you embrace the variance and play Zubac. Just know that it could be a complete disaster.
It's just, he could literally drop like 13 points.
That's how he's been for years, Kevin. Like,
I didn't know that.
That's just the type of player he is. He just he gets played off the court a lot, or he gets like these monster games. Like, he's definitely a guy that if I was making 150 teams a night, I would never like full fade him. But he's just like not nobody that I really want to have a ton of exposure to.
Yeah, I guess I've really only seen him play 2 or 3 games in real life, and they must have been games when he was doing like the 50 fantasy point plus performances. So in my mind, he's a freaking superstar, but I've never seen the flip side of that. But boy, that game log, that's tough. Hey, guess what? With that, we have come here and we've done all the things that we came here to do. So for Tim, for Dre, for our fantastic production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.